Hey everyone! Ready for a deep dive today? We're going to be looking at self-compassion.
Ooh, good topic.
Yeah, I thought so. It's from episode 7 of the Inner Compass podcast called The Role of Self-Compassion. It's a good one. And,
Hmm.
I think it's easy to forget to be kind to ourselves,
Yeah,
especially when things are tough.
absolutely.
So,
We can be so much nicer to everybody else
yeah,
than we are to ourselves
absolutely.
sometimes.
Right. This episode is all about how to sort of change that up a bit.
Yeah,
So the episode starts by defining self-compassion.
okay.
And it's really pretty simple. It's basically treating yourself the same way you would treat like a close friend.
I like that.
Yeah. With, kindness, care, understanding, all that good stuff.
Hmm.
It really resonated with me because I think a lot of us have this idea that we need to be hard on ourselves to succeed.
Right. Like
You
you have to be
do.
your own worst critic.
Yeah, exactly.
Push yourself.
Right. But this episode really challenges that idea and suggests that self-compassion is actually the key to resilience and reducing stress.
Yeah,
And being able to better learn from your mistakes.
that's really important.
Yeah.
To be able to learn from your mistakes and not just kind of beat yourself up
Yeah,
and get stuck in a rut.
exactly.
It's like, okay, so you messed up now.
Right.
How do you move forward?
So what I thought was really fascinating was that the episode talks about the evolutionary roots of self-criticism.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like that inner critic that we all have,
Mm.
while super annoying,
Mm-hmm.
might actually be trying to protect us.
How so?
Well, our ancestors who were super aware of social norms and potential mistakes were more likely to survive.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In a tribal setting,
Yeah.
if you break social norms, you could be ostracized.
Right.
And then you're out on your own.
You're a goner.
Yeah, and you're a goner.
Right. So it's not that we need to totally get rid of our inner critic,
Right.
but maybe just learn to kind of work with it a little better
Mm.
in a more constructive way. So the episode breaks down self-compassion into these 3 core components to help us understand how to do that.
Okay.
It's based on the work of Dr. Kristen Neff. And the 3 components are self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness.
I like that.
Yeah. So self-kindness,
Okay.
I'm guessing that's about not beating yourself up when you mess up.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear more about how the episode delves into that a little deeper.
Well, it's not just about being nice to yourself.
Okay.
It's about actively replacing those harsh criticisms that you have
Right.
with warmth and understanding. So imagine a friend struggling with something. You wouldn't berate them,
No.
right? You would offer support.
Right.
So self-kindness is extending that same compassion to yourself.
Yeah, but sometimes
Yeah.
that inner critic is so loud.
I know.
It's hard to drown it out with kindness.
It can be really tough, and you're not alone in that.
Okay.
A lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
The episode actually shares this really compelling story about someone who felt completely trapped in a cycle of self-criticism.
Yeah.
And it was affecting their work, their relationships, just everything.
Yeah.
But when they started practicing self-compassion, they were actually able to break free from that and start being much kinder to themselves.
Oh, that makes me think about all the times I've been super critical of myself. And, did it actually help me improve? And not really.
Probably not.
It just made me feel demoralized
Yeah,
and less motivated to try again.
exactly.
Mm.
And the episode really highlights how that type of harsh self-criticism leads to shame, low self-esteem, fear of failure.
Yeah,
It can really hold us back.
for sure.
And that's where that second component of self-compassion comes in,
Okay.
common humanity.
So reminding yourself that you're not alone
Yeah.
in your struggles.
Mhm.
I can see how that would be powerful. It's easy to feel isolated,
Right.
absolutely, when you're going through something hard.
It's so easy to feel like you're the only one who's going through whatever you're going through.
Right. Yeah.
And you're not. And that's what common humanity is all about. It's the recognition that,
Yeah.
imperfection is a shared human experience.
Right.
We all struggle.
Mm.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
We all face challenges.
We do.
Remembering that you're not alone can be like a powerful antidote to shame and self-criticism.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So don't forget that one.
Okay. I won't. And then the third component, mindfulness. How does that fit in?
Mindfulness in this context is
Okay.
about observing your emotions and your experiences without judgment.
Okay.
It's like creating this space between you and your feelings
Okay.
so you can respond with more clarity and with more compassion.
So, if I'm feeling super overwhelmed by a challenge, mindfulness would help me just acknowledge those feelings of stress
Right.
without letting them, like, totally consume me.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's not about, like, ignoring your emotions or suppressing them.
Right.
It's about observing them
Mm-hmm.
with a gentle, non-judgmental awareness.
Interesting.
Yeah. So just noticing them, being curious about them,
Okay.
but not getting swept away by them.
I like that.
Yeah.
So
That's the key.
we've got these three components of self-compassion, self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness.
Yes.
But how do we actually put those into practice?
Good question. You know?
Yeah.
Like in real life when you're stressed out or you're facing a challenge?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do we actually do this stuff?
Wow.
Because it sounds good in theory,
Right.
but sometimes it's hard to put into practice.
The episode has some really practical steps for actually cultivating self-compassion in our daily lives.
Okay.
And I think you'll find them surprisingly doable.
Really? Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Lay it on me. I am ready to ditch the self-criticism
Okay.
and embrace some kindness. So what's step one?
Step one is reframing your self-talk.
Okay.
Instead of engaging in those harsh, critical thoughts, try to replace them with more supportive and understanding language.
So instead of being like, ugh, I'm such a failure, it's more like, okay, this didn't go as planned, but that's all right. I'm human. I can learn from this.
Exactly. The episode suggests asking yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation?
Oh, that's good.
Because we're usually so much kinder and more understanding to our friends
Right.
than we are to ourselves.
That is so true. I would never tell a friend they were a failure.
Right.
I would be like encouraging and supportive.
Yeah.
I guess I need to start extending myself that same courtesy.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Okay.
So that leads us to the next step,
Okay.
which is self-soothing.
Okay.
And this is about finding ways to comfort and care for yourself, especially during stressful moments.
So things like taking deep breaths,
Yes.
listening to calming music,
Absolutely.
maybe like a warm bath with some essential oils.
Ooh, yeah. Those are all great examples.
Those are my go-tos.
The episode also suggests this really simple technique
All right.
where you just place a hand on your heart
Oh,
and you just remind yourself, it's okay to feel this way.
I like that.
It's a physical gesture
Yeah.
of self-compassion that can be surprisingly grounding.
Yeah. It's a way of just acknowledging your emotions without judgment
Right.
and offering yourself a little bit of comfort.
Exactly. And that ties in nicely with recognizing common humanity,
Right.
which we talked about earlier. But it's such an important part
Yeah.
of self-compassion.
So it's that reminder that we're not alone in our struggles.
Yes.
Yes.
The episode suggests using a mantra like, I'm not alone in this. Others face similar challenges.
Okay.
Repeating that, especially when you're feeling isolated or overwhelmed,
Yeah.
can help you tap into that sense of shared humanity.
It's a good reminder that everyone makes mistakes. Everyone faces setbacks. Everyone has moments of self-doubt. It's just part of the human experience.
It is. We're all in this together.
Yeah. So the fourth step the episode highlights is journaling your wins and challenges.
Ooh, journaling.
Yeah. This might sound simple,
Yeah.
but I think it can be really powerful. So it's not just focusing on the negatives, but also taking the time to celebrate the positives.
Yeah. It's about acknowledging your efforts and your resilience, even when things don't go perfectly.
Okay.
Journaling can help you cultivate a more balanced
Right.
and realistic view of yourself.
Yeah. We tend to be so quick to focus on our shortcomings that we forget to appreciate our strengths
Absolutely.
and our accomplishments.
It's so easy to just focus on the negative,
Right.
but it's so important to celebrate those wins,
Yes.
big or small.
Okay. And then finally, the episode emphasizes the importance of setting healthy boundaries.
Boundaries, yes.
But I'm curious, how does setting boundaries relate to self-compassion?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a jump.
It might seem that way at first, but think about it this way.
Okay.
Setting healthy boundaries means protecting your time and energy by saying no
Yeah.
to things that you don't want to do,
Right.
to unnecessary commitments or demands that just drain you. It's about prioritizing your own well-being
Okay.
and recognizing that you don't have to say yes to everything.
You know, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because if I'm constantly overextending myself and saying yes to things that I don't really want to do,
Right.
I end up feeling burned out and resentful.
Yes. Nobody likes that.
And that's definitely not self-compassionate.
No, it's the opposite. It's about honoring your own needs and limits
Right.
and making choices that support your overall well-being.
Okay.
And that's a crucial part of self-compassion.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about, the definition of self-compassion. the
Yeah.
3 core components, evolutionary roots of self-criticism,
Yeah.
even some practical steps
Yes.
for, how to cultivate more self-compassion in our lives.
How to actually do it.
Yeah. But the episode also mentions a potential guest spotlight.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they might bring in an expert on self-compassion. What kind of additional insights do you think a guest expert could offer? Oh, I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because they could share their expertise
Right.
and maybe dispel some common misconceptions about self-compassion.
Okay, like what?
Well, for example, some people might think that self-compassion is the same as self-pity
Oh, yeah.
or complacency.
Right.
But that's not true at all.
Yeah, I can see how that might be a misconception.
Hmm.
It's not about letting yourself off the hook
Right.
or lowering your standards.
Mm-hmm.
It's about approaching yourself with understanding and kindness, even when you make mistakes or face challenges.
Exactly. And a guest expert could also offer additional research-backed techniques
Oh, cool.
for practicing self-compassion. Maybe share some powerful stories of transformation.
Oh, wow.
Or even lead us through a guided meditation.
Oh, I love that.
It would be like having a toolbox
Yeah.
of strategies to draw from whenever that inner critic starts to get too loud.
Speaking of tools and strategies,
Yes.
I think it's time we walk our listener through that practical takeaway exercise that the episode provides. Yes.
Let's do it.
It's all about putting self-compassion into action.
I love it.
So to start, take a moment to recall a recent situation
Okay.
where you felt self-critical or disappointed in yourself. It could be anything. A mistake you made, a setback, you experienced a goal you didn't achieve, anything that triggered those like negative self-judgments.
I've got one.
You got one. Okay, what's next?
Now imagine a close friend coming to you with that same situation.
Okay.
What would you say to them?
Okay.
Would you be harsh and judgmental? Or would you offer comfort, understanding, encouragement, really tap into that sense of empathy and compassion that you would extend to a friend?
I definitely wouldn't be judgmental towards a friend.
Right.
I would remind them that everyone makes mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and that, this one setback doesn't define them.
Exactly.
I would offer support and encouragement and help them see the situation in a more positive light.
Beautifully said. Now here's the key.
Okay.
How can you offer yourself
Okay.
that same understanding and encouragement?
What would a self-compassionate response to this situation sound like?
Instead of dwelling on my mistakes and beating myself up,
Yeah.
I would acknowledge my feelings of disappointment,
Okay.
but also remind myself that I'm doing the best that I can given the circumstances, and that's enough.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And the episode encourages you to actually write down
Yeah.
that self-compassionate response.
Oh, okay.
Putting it into words can make it even more powerful.
Right.
And it can serve as a reminder
Yeah.
that you can revisit whenever that inner critic starts to creep back in.
That's a great idea, because sometimes I need those tangible reminders to shift my perspective.
Absolutely.
It's like creating this little self-compassion toolkit
Yeah. I love
to draw from when I need it most.
your self-compassion toolkit.
Yes.
Love it. To wrap up this exercise,
Okay.
I want to share a mantra from the episode that I think perfectly captures the essence of self-compassion.
Okay.
Okay?
Ready.
I'm doing the best I can, and that's enough. Repeating that phrase,
Okay.
especially during challenging times,
Yeah.
can be incredibly grounding and reassuring.
It's a reminder that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love and compassion,
Right.
both from ourselves and from others.
Exactly. You are enough just as you are.
I love that.
So be kind to yourself.
Yes. You know what strikes me about this whole conversation is this idea of self-compassion as a tool for resilience. It's not about avoiding challenges or pretending everything's perfect.
Right.
It's about having that strength to face difficulties
Yeah.
with kindness and understanding towards yourself.
Absolutely. And that's something the episode emphasizes too. It's like self-compassion isn't about lowering your standards or becoming complacent. It's actually a really powerful motivator.
How so?
Well, when you're not constantly beating yourself up, you free up so much energy and emotional bandwidth to actually focus on growth and improvement.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
You got to fill yourself up first with self-compassion
Yes.
before you can effectively tackle challenges and pursue your goals.
Absolutely. And when you inevitably encounter setbacks, which we all do,
Of course.
self-compassion allows you to bounce back more quickly.
Oh, that's good.
You can learn from those experiences without getting bogged down in self-recrimination.
So instead of viewing a failure as like a reflection of your worth as a person,
Right.
you can see it as a valuable opportunity for learning and growth.
Exactly. It's about shifting your perspective and being kind to yourself
Yeah,
throughout the process.
throughout the process, for sure. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive
It has.
into the world of self-compassion. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure we highlight that key takeaway for our listener one more time,
Okay.
just to really drive it home.
Yes. Self-compassion is a practice that can truly transform your relationship with yourself
Okay.
and empower you to navigate life's challenges with greater resilience and kindness.
Yeah.
Remember, it's not about achieving some unattainable level of perfection.
Right.
It's about treating yourself with the same understanding and support you would offer a close friend.
And it's a practice, not a destination.
Absolutely.
Some days will be easier than others.
Right.
And that's perfectly okay.
Mhm.
The important thing is to keep coming back to that intention
Yes.
of treating yourself with kindness and compassion even when it feels difficult.
So true. As we close, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question
Okay.
to ponder.
Hit me with it.
How might shifting to a more self-compassionate approach change your experience of challenges in the future?
Ooh, that's a good question
Yeah.
to reflect on. And I have a feeling that even just a little more self-compassion could go a long way in creating a more positive and fulfilling life experience.
I think so too.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into self-compassion.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, remember to be kind to yourself.
Always.
You know, it's interesting. We've talked about these 3 different components of self-compassion. Yeah. But I'm realizing they all kind of work together, you know? Like you can't really have one without the others.
They're all interconnected.
Yeah.
They definitely are. It's like a system.
So mindfulness helps you observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment,
Right.
which then allows you to be kind to yourself.
Exactly.
And then common humanity reminds you that everyone struggles. So it's like this beautiful cycle
Yeah, it's a cycle of support.
that helps you be more resilient and compassionate towards yourself.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
Where each component reinforces the others.
I like that. So thinking about all this stuff, I'm
Yeah.
wondering,
Yeah.
how can we apply this to like specific situations?
Oh, that's a great question.
Like, let's say you're dealing with a work deadline.
Okay.
And you're feeling super stressed and overwhelmed. How can self-compassion help in that moment?
Well, first you could use mindfulness to just acknowledge those feelings of stress. Right. So you're not trying to ignore them or push them away. You're just noticing them, being present with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can practice self-kindness
Okay.
by talking to yourself the way you would talk to a friend who's going through the same thing.
So I might say something like,
Yeah.
hey, it's okay to feel stressed. This is a tough deadline. You're doing your best.
Exactly. And you can remind yourself that everyone faces deadlines.
Right.
And everyone feels stressed sometimes. So you're not alone in this.
That's common humanity.
Yes. Bringing in that sense of shared experience can really help to alleviate those feelings of isolation and overwhelm.
This is making me think about how we often talk about self-care.
Yeah.
You know, like taking bubble baths and stuff.
Right. The face masks.
Yeah, exactly. But self-compassion seems like a deeper level of self-care.
It is. It's like the foundation of
Yeah.
true self-care. Because if you're not compassionate toward yourself, it's hard to truly take care of yourself.
It's like you're trying to build a house without a foundation.
Exactly.
It's not going to be very stable.
It's going to crumble.
So I think that's a really important distinction to make.
Yes. Self-compassion is essential for creating a solid foundation for well-being.
I love that analogy. All right. So to wrap up this deep dive into self-compassion,
Yes.
what's the one thing you want our listener to take away from this conversation?
I think the most important thing to remember is that self-compassion is a practice.
Okay.
It's not something you achieve overnight.
Right.
It's something you cultivate over time with patience and persistence.
Oh.
So be kind to yourself as you're learning and growing.
And remember, you're not alone in this.
We're all in this together.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into self-compassion. And until next time, remember to be kind to yourself.
Always